So we're still factoring, except today we are factoring with a leading coefficient of something other than 1. So we were able to use the X game when A was 1. Now A is going to be something other than 1. Okay? But we're going to use what we're going to call the super X. So we start with an X, but this X has a line down the middle, kind of like the belt on any good superhero. Okay, so the super X, if A is greater than 1. Now, you should still start by finding GCF if you can, because you always want to make your numbers smaller. But if you don't have a GCF and there's a that is greater than 1, that first letter or first number is greater than 1, then we're going to use the super X. Okay? On top of the super X, just like before, it's our A times C. Before it was 1. Remember I said 1 times C went on top? It's A times C. What do you think is going to go on bottom? B. That doesn't change. Okay, so those things aren't changing. Now on top of the super X here, you put your A term and whatever your variable is. So if A is 5 and your variable is X, you would put 5X on both sides. That's just an automatic fill-in. Okay? And then these are our factors just like before. So what two numbers multiply to A times C and add to B. We're literally doing the same thing with a fancier X. Okay? So let's look at a problem so you can see what that looks like, and then I'll explain what we do from there. So 2x squared minus 7x plus 6. 2x squared minus 7x plus 6. The first thing I want you to look at is if there's a GCF. Is there something that goes into 2x squared, negative 7x, and 6? No. Okay, so step 1 is always look for GCF. Step 2 is then to determine if this is going to be the X game or the super X. Because this number here is greater than 1, we use the super X. What goes on top of my super X? 12. A times C. So 2 times 6 is 12. Just like we did with the X. What goes on bottom? Negative 7. Okay. Now remember up here is your A term. So that's 2 and your variable. And then 2 and your variable. That's an automatic fill-in. So whatever A is in your variable. Okay. So what two numbers multiply to 12 and add to negative 7? Negative 3 and negative 4. So let's check. Negative 3 times negative 4 is 12. Negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. Do you agree that we haven't really done a whole lot different other than add this up here? Okay. So everyone's good up to that point. Now what I want you to notice is if I look at this, what does that look like to you? Looks like a fraction, right? It looks like 2x over 3. And what's over negative 3? What's super important about fractions? What do we always have to do? Simplify. We have to simplify if we can. Can we simplify 2 and negative 3? No, so we're good. That one's completely simplified. Can I simplify 2 and negative 4? Yes. By 2. So 2 goes into itself once. 2 goes into negative 4 twice. Still okay? Okay. Now just like with the X, these are our factors. So my first one is 2x minus 3. My second one, because I simplified it, is x minus 2. And if you FOIL or box that, you will go back to 2x squared minus 7x plus 6. Are we okay with that? Okay, let's try another one together, and then I'll give you one to do. How about 6x squared plus 19x plus 15? So what would be step 1? When we're factoring, what's the first thing?
Oh, GCF.
GCF, okay? Now, you could probably look at that and say there is not a GCF, but that is the first thing I want you to think about, because sometimes there will be, and it will make your life easier. So GCF is the first thing. There is no GCF. My A is greater than 1, so I use the super X. I want you to fill in the super X with just the information we know. I don't want you to find the factors. So I basically want you to find the top and bottom and the top here. Just fill it in real quick and see if you understand how to fill it in. So on top, what did you do? 6 times 15, which gave you 90. On bottom, you put 19. And then here, what did you put? 6x. Great. What two numbers multiply to 90 and add to 19? 10 and 9. 10 times 9 is 90. 10 plus 9 is 19. Can I reduce that fraction? By 2. So 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 10 5 times. And can I reduce this fraction?
Yes.
By 3. So 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 9 3 times. Last step is to write it in factored form. So 3x plus 5. And 2x plus 3. So your top will always go first, and then what's on the bottom will come second. Okay, so I want you to try this one. Start to finish. 3x squared minus x minus 4. 3x squared minus x minus 4. All right, so let's see how we did. Is there a GCF? No. Okay, so straight to super X. On top, you should have gotten negative 12. On bottom, negative 1. Do we know why it's negative 1? Yeah. Okay. Up here would be a 3x and a 3x. Two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to negative 1 would be a negative 4 and a positive 3. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. And now I'm going to reduce. That fraction looks good. This fraction can reduce by 3. So my final answer is 3x minus 4 and x plus 3. And remember, if you have it in the opposite order, that's okay, as long as you have both sets of parentheses.
Wouldn't that be 1?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I don't know why I wrote 3 again. There we go. Sorry. Okay, we have 2 more problems. Do you want me to do them with you, or do you want to try both? Try both? Okay. How about 20k to the third plus 36k squared minus 72k? Number 4. And 120r squared plus 128r plus 140. Okay, so take a second and see if you can complete both of those. If you need to use your group, that's fine. Okay, so number 4, where are we starting? GCF. What hinted you off right away to GCF? They're all even? Okay. They're what? One of them's to the third. You cannot use the x or the super x unless the highest exponent's a 2. So that should tip you off right away. Also, these numbers are large, and when I start multiplying them together, they're going to be real big, right? Let's make our lives easier. So what number goes into 20, 36, and 72? 4? Okay, so I can pull out a 4. Can I pull out anything else? A k, which leaves me with 5k squared plus 9k minus 18. Okay. Now before I use the super x, I'm going to look. 5, 9, and 18, are there anything else? Is there anything else that can go into it? No. But you want to kind of check before you start multiplying. Now if I use the super x, 5 times negative 18 is negative 90. And then I have 9 on the bottom. So what two numbers multiplied to negative 90 and added to 9?
15 and 6.
15 and 6? 15 and negative 6. So 15 times negative 6 is negative 90. 15 minus 6 is 9. So initially you probably thought 9 and 10, right? 9 times 10 gives you 90. Well, that obviously is not going to multiply to 9. So you have to start figuring out what else multiplies to 90. What goes up here? 5k and 5k, because that's what your A term is now. Okay. Can I reduce this first fraction? By 5, right? So 1 and 3. Can I reduce this one? No. Final answer is going to be that 4k, don't forget it, times k plus 3 times 5k minus 6. Again, these can be in different orders depending on how you wrote it in your x. That's fine. Did we all get that, or at least get close to it? Okay, looking at number 5. I can tell there's a GCF. What's my GCF going to be between 20, 128, and 140? 4 again? Okay. Can I pull out a variable in this case? No, I have an r squared and there's no r here. So if I pull out a 4, I'm left with 5r squared plus 32r plus 35. When I look at 5, 32, and 35, I know there's not a GCF, so I'm going to come back to my super x and plug in what I know. So 5 times 35 is 175. I'm putting 32 on the bottom, 5r, and 5r. Okay, this one, I don't know all the multiples of 175. So you start using your calculator. Okay? Easiest thing to do is to start at 2 and work your way up. But I know looking at that, 2 doesn't go into 175, right? So I know some of you probably already know the answer, but I'm going to process through this. So 175 divided by 3 doesn't work. 175 divided by 4 doesn't work. Divided by 5 gives me 35. Can I add 35 and 5 to get 32? Nope, so I'm going to keep going. 175 divided by 6 doesn't work. Divided by 7 is 25. Can I add 25 and 7 to get 32? Yep, and both of them are going to be positive. So start at 2 and work your way up. If you start just plugging in random numbers, it might take you a while to get there, and then you get frustrated and get stopped. Okay, so 25 times 7 is 175. 25 plus 7 is 32. This first fraction that I have, can I reduce it? By 5, right? Can I reduce the second one? Nope. So I'm going to keep the 4 out front, and I'm going to have r plus 5 and 5r plus 7. Okay. So just a recap, and you can make a note to yourself if you want to. The first thing you need to look for always when you're factoring is GCF. Okay, GCF is first, because sometimes that's all you have to do. The second thing you're looking at is whether your A term is 1 or greater than 1. Because if it's a 1, you can just use the x. If it's greater than 1, you're going to use the super x. But I will tell you that the super x always works. Okay, so if you forget when to use the x versus the super x, you can use the super x with any of them. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns on this? All right.